close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up in a small wooden room somewhere far from home. The air smells like smoke, sweat, and rotting wood. Outside, you hear boots marching on gravel, metal clanking against metal, and voices shouting commands in a language you barely understand. This is not your home. This is a military comfort station during World War II. And today, you are one of the women inside it. You wake before the sun rises, not because you want to, but because someone pounds loudly on the wooden door. A guard outside barks for everyone to line up. Your body aches from the night before. Every muscle feels like it has been wrung out and left to dry. The thin mattress beneath you offers no comfort, no softness, no mercy. You sit up slowly. Around you, other young women do the same. Some stare blankly at the dirt-stained floor. Others pull thin blankets tightly around their shoulders as if the fabric could protect them from more than just the cold. No one speaks much in the mornings. There are girls here from many different places: Korea, China, the Philippines, Indonesia, Burma. Different faces, different languages, but the same hollow look behind their eyes. Some of these girls were promised factory jobs back home. Recruiters came to their villages with papers, uniforms, and reassurances. They told parents their daughters would earn good wages, sewing military uniforms, or canning food for the war effort. The families believed them. Why wouldn't they? The men wore official-looking clothes and spoke with confident voices. Some girls were taken directly from their villages with no warning at all, no promises. With no paperwork, just hands grabbing them in the dark. Some were simply forced at gunpoint. Most of them are teenagers. Some are barely 15 years old. A soldier slides the door open from outside. The cold morning air rushes in and cuts through the room. You and the others step outside into the small courtyard between buildings. Guards position themselves at every corner, rifles resting against their shoulders. There is nowhere to run. There has never been anywhere to run. You learned that lesson early. Breakfast is a small bowl of rice. Sometimes there is watery soup alongside it. Sometimes there is nothing more than the rice and silence. You eat quickly because the morning moves fast, and soon the day will begin in full. The building you live in is officially called a comfort station. This system was created and operated by the Imperial Japanese Army during the Second World War. The military presented these stations as a form of rest and recreation for their soldiers, and a way to maintain troop morale during a long and brutal conflict. But for the women inside these walls, the experience was something entirely different, something the word station could never honestly describe. After breakfast, you are escorted back to your small room. The walls are thin planks of wood that do nothing to block sound. The hallway outside already echoes with footsteps and voices. A line has begun to form. You can hear it without looking. You recognize the sound of it now, the shuffling, the low conversation, the occasional laughter. You know what that means. The first knock comes early in the morning. A guard opens the door and pushes the first soldier inside. There is no choice, no negotiation, no moment where your opinion matters. When one leaves, another takes his place with barely a pause between them. On some days, there are dozens of men. On particularly brutal days, the number climbs even higher. The hours pass with unbearable slowness. Outside your room, the hallway never quiets down during daylight hours. Boots scrape and drag against the wooden floor. Doors open and close in a relentless rhythm. You stop glancing at the clock on the wall. You learn that watching time only makes it crawl slower. It is better to go somewhere else in your mind, somewhere the noise cannot reach you. Some of the women become seriously ill. Infections spread quickly in conditions like these. Some collapse from sheer physical exhaustion. When that happens, a military doctor occasionally appears, not to care for the women, not to treat their pain, but to verify that the soldiers who visited them remain healthy enough to keep fighting. The women are examined like livestock at a market. Their suffering is irrelevant. Their function is all that matters. They are treated like equipment, something to be used until it breaks, something to be replaced when it does. By mid-afternoon, the building feels suffocating. The air inside grows heavy and stale, thick with the smell of bodies and cheap tobacco smoke drifting in from the hallway. A few women manage to whisper to each other quietly when the guards step away from the doors for a moment. They talk about home. One girl remembers the green mountains of the Korean countryside in summer, the smell of pine trees after rain. Another remembers the fishing boats anchored along the coast of the Philippines, her father mending nets in the early morning light. Someone else describes a small family farm in the Shandong province of China, the sound of her mother grinding grain before sunrise. Those memories are the only place left where they are still free, the only space no guard can lock, the only door no soldier can open. Sometimes new girls arrive at the station. You can always recognize them immediately. Their eyes are wide and darting, searching the room for something familiar, something safe. They ask questions almost immediately. When can we go home? How long do we stay here? Is there someone we can speak to? Is there a way to send a letter? The older women, the ones who have been here for months, rarely answer those questions anymore because they already know the truth, and saying it out loud makes it heavier. As evening approaches, the lines outside grow longer again. Soldiers returning from training drills and patrol rotations flood back into the station. The noise in the hallway picks up again, and somewhere deeper in the building, a tinny radio plays music. Something cheerful and completely disconnected from what is happening around it. Someone laughs loudly in the corridor. For the soldiers passing through, this place is designed to feel ordinary, a brief escape from the front lines, a few stolen moments of normalcy in the middle of a war. For the women inside the rooms, it is simply another night that must be survived. Your body has gone numb by now. Not just physically, something deeper has switched off too. Some inner mechanism that the mind builds to protect itself when there is no other option. You drift somewhere far away in your thoughts, somewhere quiet, somewhere before any of this began. You think about your family, your mother hanging laundry outside the house in the early morning, your younger brother chasing chickens across the yard, the smell of cooking coming through the window. Do they know where you are right now? Did the recruiter tell them anything? Do they imagine you are safe somewhere, working in a factory, counting the days until you can send money home? Or have they spent months praying in front of an empty photograph, hoping you might simply walk back through the door one evening? You wonder if you will ever be able to explain any of this to them. You wonder if you will even find the words. You wonder if the world outside these walls would ever truly understand what happened here, or whether they would look at you differently if they did. Late at night, the hallway finally begins to quiet. The footsteps thin out. The voices fade. The last soldiers leave, and a guard walks the length of the building, checking each door before locking it from the outside. Only then are the lights dimmed. Only then are you permitted to sleep. You lie back on the thin mattress again. Your body is completely exhausted, but sleep resists you. In the darkness, you can hear soft crying from the room next to yours. Someone else stares silently at the ceiling. Then another night closes behind you like a door that only locks from one side. Tomorrow will be exactly the same. For tens of thousands of women across Asia, this was not a single terrible day. This was months, sometimes years. Historians estimate that somewhere between 80,000 and 200,000 women were forced into the Imperial Japanese military's comfort station system during World War II. The exact number remains disputed, partly because so many records were deliberately destroyed as the war ended, and partly because so many survivors never spoke of what happened to them at all. For decades after the war, most of these women carried their experience in silence. Shame that was never theirs to carry followed them anyway. Fear of judgment, fear of disbelief, fear of being reduced to the worst thing that was ever done to them. But eventually, some began to speak. In 1991, a South Korean survivor named Kim Hak soon became the first former comfort woman to publicly testify about what she had endured. Her voice opened a door that could never be fully closed again. Other women followed. Their testimonies became historical records. Their faces became part of the permanent memory of the war. Today, statues and memorials stand in South Korea, the Philippines, and other countries dedicated to these women and to the truth of what happened to them. Their stories are taught in classrooms and documented in archives. While now survivors' groups continue to call for formal acknowledgement and accountability from the Japanese government, a conversation that remains unresolved and deeply contested to this day. Remembering these stories is not about assigning blame to an entire nation or an entire generation. It is about refusing to let history flatten human beings into footnotes. It is about understanding that behind every statistic recorded in a war, behind every number on a page, there was a body that felt pain, a mind that dreamed of something better, a family somewhere that missed them, a voice, a life that almost disappeared without anyone ever knowing it existed. And sometimes, the most important thing we can do, the most human thing we can do, is simply stop and listen.